You almost can't put into words how good a job he did, because there was so many things that he had to overcome that for veteran managers would have been challenging, let alone for a first-year manager in a town like New York with expectations. Whether they were, hey, we're not expecting to win the World Series this year, there's still expectations that this was going to be a competitive team. And 0-5 start and the terrible May, all the things that we've chronicled all throughout this season. And he was absolutely the same guy day in, day out. Consistency with his players, consistency with the media, consistency with his messaging, consistency with his ability to strategically run games. And I couldn't be more impressed with him and what it took for him to be able to remain consistent when you knew he had to be feeling it inside. First year in New York City, and the kind of things that you would never think could go wrong did go wrong, and yet he stayed the storm and led this team to an amazing season, short of where they wanted to, but it's an amazing season nevertheless. And now he'll take a breath, and then his work will start again.
It will start, and I think it's interesting along these lines. The very fact that he came in not expected to do what the Mets ended up doing this year, and now, Garrett, the bar is raised going into next season, and the pressure gets a little bit ramped up year two on the job.
Well, he said during his press conference that we just heard, this should be the expectation every year going forward, to play deep into October. And I'll tell you what, I remember the day that Carlos Mendoza was introduced as the Mets manager last winter, and I was asked how I thought he was going to do, and I only knew him peripherally from his job with the Yankees as their bench coach. And I said, we won't really know anything about him until the first losing streak. Well, as it turned out, the first losing streak happened the first week of the season. They lost their first 5 games. They had a dreadful first couple of months, and yet he was able to keep his cool throughout it. And you realized we were dealing with a special person, a special personality with the ability to think the game, to observe the game, to incorporate the analytics, to communicate with his players, to use his feel within games. He was as good a first-year manager as I have honestly ever seen in Major League Baseball. Carlos Mendoza, in my book, gets an A+++ for his first year as Mets skipper, and he is going to go down as one of the great managers of all time. That's how highly I think of Carlos Mendoza.
Wow, that is some very heady praise. And let's not forget, when the offseason started and the Mets were looking for a manager, Craig Counsell was the guy they wanted first. He ended up going to the Cubs, and it was Carlos Mendoza who came to the Mets and certainly did work out.